this would not go through a vote of the justices, or at least it get a no from me, dog, because it's cooked, right? And we can all see it's cooked.
Here's the issue, though, because I was going through both the ACR stuff in addition to just how the appeals process works, and it clarifies that we as prosecutors can go for an appeal, but I'm pretty sure it clarifies only in the event where precedent was set and we're appealing it. But obviously a magistrate can't set precedent, but no. I think the bigger issue is that a case like this would strengthen an argument for precedent to be set, which in my mind makes it so that in terms of like, it might not be at the level of precedent, but again, I think we'd be silly to be like, no one's ever going to reference this case in the future.
You're looking for clarification, and I think even if that got dealt with on the docket by somebody to give you the clarification you need, I think that would probably help PD morale, because you don't want to see these things on there.
Oh yeah, 100%. The reason I brought it up in the meeting was because I don't want there to be like, oh hey, I looked at the docket and self-defense against PD was ruled to be legal. And then everyone be like, what the fuck? DOJ this, DOJ that. I wanted to identify the problem, and I wanted people to, like, I wanted it made aware immediately. Like, we are bringing this up to put in front of other people so that this can hopefully be resolved or at least be avoided moving forward.
So when I'm looking at this, right, when I've looked at this, I think there's a couple of issues. And, like, I am not going to throw McMoo under the bus. I think she tries really hard. She's around a lot. She works hard, right? But she got this one wrong, and I'm not going to say any differently because I don't believe any differently. But here's the reality: she's an elected magistrate. Like, even if I was like, oh Jesus, like if this was any other magistrate, and I was like, oh crap, you're cooked, I could let them go, right? I can't fire McMill because she's elected.
This comes down to our vote.
Yeah, y'all voted her in, not me.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Insane. Well, I mean, wait, when does the vote happen? Is it the same time as?
Yeah, same as the mayor. So it's about 4 weeks.
Is that going to be delayed at all?
I think we've asked for clarification on that because of the big CopCon coming up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're going to get somebody elected in with 100 votes, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Is that going to have to be like that going to have to be clarified by like the state or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it'll be a change to the electoral format. While we get certain amount of provision, we don't get provision to extend out elections, right? We can.
Yeah, that's going to be a tricky one. Okay.
We're going to need state permission. So I think either what we do is we'd either start everything as it normally starts and hopefully just extend out the election for an extra week or an extra 4 days or something, or we would extend out the nomination period and then just start the elections as CopCon ends.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that's appropriate. So just to clarify, like the appeal that has been put up, again, we're not going for we want him to be found guilty. That's very clearly written as that can't happen. Based upon double jeopardy.
For clarification on the law.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I think we can 100% get that working because I think it's probably necessary in.
Good job, Sloan.
When big mistakes go on. I don't want to feed you with the inside baseball, like, because I think some of our internal workings have to remain internal, right? But like the McMoo's work generally in panels up until now, right? These were one of like her first cases. It was like a single criminal charge appeal, which was basically at the level of a bench trial, right? This should have just been at the level of a bench trial. It should be fairly routine, which is why she was given this case. Now we're going to have conversations, obviously.
Yeah, that's fine. Listen, I'm of the mindset that, again, no one should ever be surprised about any sort of consequence or action taken against them. Like, again, even if it's just a learning experience and clarification so that moving forward it doesn't happen, I'm content with that. I've just never seen someone so willing to write down essentially self-defense against police.
Thank you, sir.
Looking good.
We've
Good
never
slug.
held a standard for self-defense
Really good.
against police.
Ever, yeah.
To get to the standard to claim self-defense from the police, you'd have to basically be arguing that the police officer acted in such a way that they attempted to murder you and should be criminally charged.
Yeah, 100%. I will say this, I'm not sure if this was made aware. I want to say both were there from the very beginning, if not the very beginning, close to. I believe it was both Falconer and Ma that were both present for the court case. So I don't know if they would be I don't know in terms of the DOJ how conflict is determined, but I know that they would likely have more information because they were present for the case. But I specifically made it a point to not speak to either of them because I didn't like if they were only present and just heard everything. Obviously, I think that provides them the context, in regards to all of the stuff that was brought up during the actual court case itself.
This was McMoo's first solo case, really, for a long time. I think she might have done some I don't know, early stuff early on. But, this is her first one while we're actively assessing for the next term and stuff. I think Murray might have been there to actually assess what she was doing. He might be
that
the
works
best,
out.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to approach and be like, hey, by the way, I think this was atrocious, and him provide any feedback on that front. So again, I was trying my best to make sure that I didn't contribute to any potential conflict. I think being present for the situation is fine. As long as Falconer wasn't the fucking defense,
yeah.
Okay, all right. That clears everything up for the most part. As long as it's going to be getting looked at, that's all I care about.
But to be honest, even if it just requires me to deal with it on the docket and deal with the matters of fact of legality, though, I'm okay with doing that. I don't feel like I've heard anything that will conflict me from doing so. I already had my own opinion on it after reading it last night.
Yeah, it was it was an interest. Like I said, I rarely ever complain because my mindset going into cases is it is the judge's job to make that determination, not mine. At the end of the day, that's it. And everyone has a different threshold, and I'm not here to tell anyone what their threshold should be. However, it seems that there does need to be a line drawn in the sand of where the threshold at bare minimum should start, because otherwise I think we end up in this. Either way, I think I don't want to go in circles, but ultimately,
I
think
how we
never
can have actual conversations.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? It's a change of pace for me. I'm not used to not being on the attack or the defense. I'm gonna be honest.
And in addition to that, I appreciate the conversation without the immediate, this is going to conflict me, I don't want to hear it type thing. Because I think we should be able to voice concerns, at least in sort of vague terms, to not specifically conflict a already fairly limited Department of Justice, because then the weight falls on the shoulders of very few, and then we all know how that goes. There's then too much weight, and then no one wants to do anything because it ends up being a Jenga tower. You remove one block and everything else comes crumbling down on you.
Yeah, especially this time of year when people start to, take little breaks.
Yeah, take breaks. Yeah, vacations. Sometimes people maybe they want to, get a degree in criminal justice. And then it's the holiday season, and then people are with family and people take time off.
Oh, the second we hit Halloween, it's over.
Oh yeah, 100%, without a doubt, because it goes from Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
New Year. Before you know it's February, and then everyone's like, "Ooh, Valentine's Day."
Oh, and don't forget, then the bitches who's going to school for criminal justice, then it's finals, midterms, and finals. Oh yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. But
really,
again, I appreciate the conversation.
As far as conflict goes, I know people think it's. My issue with it generally is when if I've got some kind of personal vested interest in it, right? So if it's personal family business, right? I think that's a problem. I don't think you should get engaged with that. And then if somebody's suing me, impeaching me, any of those things, then I'm like, I can't engage.
Yeah, 100%.
Other than that, I don't really care.
100%.
Even if you see something happen, you've got to ask yourself, where are you the most use? Is your witness testimony so essential that you could be called for a case as a witness, or can you separate yourself out and just do your fucking job? Because our job isn't what do you think happened. It's what was proven to have happened in a court of law, right? What evidence was presented that proved it? And if you can't abstract yourself out from that and assess it,
Yeah, like the
regardless of what
forehead
you
and
know
Meng's case.
personally,
They did a terrible job on presenting an argument, articulating any facts. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we get that.
I mean, the forehead and Monk's case was more the fact that they that was the that one was so cooked it was wild, because immediately for the
They
first
could have
hour I was
gotten
discussing
everything too.
roads violations, right? Because there was evidence that wasn't submitted. And when I asked the officers why wasn't this evidence submitted, I was told because it didn't help our case, right? So I
That's
could have thrown it
no
out there
bueno.
and then, right? But even Forehead and Monks were like, no, we'd rather just continue with the case right now. And then there were accusations of witness tampering in the middle of the case, which I could have thrown it out again on, but everyone's like, let's just power through. Like, but that case was just fucked. That case was fucked.
Yeah, I mean, certain concessions have to be made for the sake of the greater good, I would argue. I mean, you mentioning, the witness tampering, but the individuals involved are stating they'd like to continue, or the potential withholding of evidence and they still want to continue. Like, I think we can all come to the collective agreement that I don't necessarily want to say convenience is key, but like we also know it takes fucking weeks, if not months, to schedule a case. So if the ball can still be rolling, we might as well, even if concessions have to be made.
I mean, I picked up that case and had it scheduled in 4 days. I think if the stars align, you can do it very quickly. If you can't, it can drag on forever. And,
oh yeah, I mean, listen, I will give credit where credit is due. McMoo scheduled that case with knowing full well that on Tuesday I'm gonna have surgery and I'm not gonna be around, and got it scheduled within like a 24 or 48 hour period after availability was done. Now, in all fairness, most of those individuals involved in the case are around on a daily basis, so it's easier on that front. But the fact that it was scheduled that quickly, I will give McMoo credit where credit is due. It's, oftentimes I think scheduling is probably one of the least favorite aspects, but that's also not any one specific person's fault. Like, I also made it clear, if it wasn't going to be scheduled during that time, I'm open to being deposed, because I don't want to be the reason that shit gets prevented from seeing, an actual courtroom.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't even hate, written in depositions for people who just can't hit, because I think eventually any kind of resolution is better than the perfect resolution,
Yeah,
You've just got
100%. I will say, I think just statements being sort of admitted as fact, I would never want to see that weaponized as a means of there being no way to dispute what's being said, especially if there's
I think the DOJ, I think the clerk should provide sworn affidavits, right? So you provide your statement to a clerk, it's transcribed onto a piece of paper that says, "Here, I hereby swear that." Swear and affirm an oath that this is true, and at that point you're then potentially up for perjury if you've lied. Like,
yeah,
there's
I think
always
that's
way
valid.
around that.
I think that's valid. Well, again, I appreciate the conversation. This definitely sits a little better knowing that it's certainly going to get looked at. Is there anything you need from us or the department? Well, actually, okay, wait. As the LSPD, we have to make a DOC?
Yes, so the
or marshals or both.
So marshals is that's up now. So I don't know if you've made one yet.
I don't believe we have.
So it's on City Hall. It is the state marshal nomination list. Last person to do it was Sheriff Ross. Oh yeah, it's literally Pred's choice. Pred gets to nominate somebody. He hasn't nominated anybody yet.
Okay.
So yeah,
just one person, correct?
Today.
I mean, it ends tomorrow, so yeah, I'd nominate today because we might end it early tomorrow.
2 nominations I get.
I'd have to look at the legislation. I'm gonna be real.
Oh gosh.
We got 2 nominations. I'm only saying one because Sheriff Frost only nominated one.
We can nominate 2 names according to this, and the BCSO also get 2 names.
I want to nominate Lando, and I mean, I guess I'll nominate.
So I'm gonna state factually, we didn't even interview Lando because he doesn't have a legal background, right? He does not have a governmental job background, right? He's never held any kind of governmental position, so it's kind of hard to justify that position. The elect requirements, yeah, the elect must have some form of legal background. Now, how
who do we want to get rid of, Rhodes?
I don't know.
Rhodes, who do we want to get rid of?
McMoo.
We got an important meeting we got to take with Peach and T over at the dispatch.
Oh my gosh. I am. Okay. Do me a favor and jump.
We'll get the list of nominations today.
Okay, cool. But yeah, the WOD nominations will open up tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And how long do we have for that?
It should be the same as this one. 2 weeks, perfect. And then Yep. Okay.
That way we have some time. Appreciate you.
We're having some P&T drama. You can tell Ruby ain't a big fan.
Yeah, okay. Listen. I'm not a big fan of what was done there. I don't like the public calling out of stuff. Like, I know you do it on occasion, but like rarely is it specifically targeted. You know?
Because that's what he said, and he just cut me off like, this is the end of the conversation, and they kept saying, I'm trying to hire for the next generation. Doing Carl Pred's vision, as if I'm not trying to do that. Okay, it was, and then he asked, and he kept like asking, what did I, say wrong? Okay, and it continued to shut me down.
I think we need to talk about this when Key is actually here. The main issues I had was the talking to the potential hiree. I understand, obviously, Key had words to say, but I can't really say anything because he's not here. Really, my issue was what was done to the potential cadets.
2 of my superstars are fighting?
Yeah.
Good. Peach, what did I teach you about combat?
It's not because of Alan Key, but anyway, we'll continue. As I said, my main concern was why on earth we had a captain from BCSO ringing and calling one of our people that we just had interviewed. And once again, I'm going to stand by it. I don't think we should profile based on an accent.
She did say fuck BCSO in her interview.
I don't really think I'm kind of undecided. I'll say this. I don't think an accent falls under protected class or anything of the sort. So legally we're probably okay, but I will say this. If they do have an accent and they're good, we're not shipping them up north. We shouldn't. No, we gotta keep them.
She's good.
She's good. Does Peach have something against that southern twang? Hi there. I want to get a job at the LSPD. Is that what we got?
We interviewed a guy who is currently the janitor for BCSO.
Oh, Dan?
Who doesn't want to work for BCSO. Yeah. He interviewed for LSPD. He loves LSPD. He wants to be here. Why didn't we treat him the same? Why didn't we do phone calls to him, Peach?
Did he pass the vibe check, Peach?
He did in the interview. He was pretty cool.
Okay, well, like I said, with that guy, I also said, I had concerns about him and stuff. I think I even mentioned like, maybe he's lying or something. It's not the first time where
are you talking about lying to get into the LSPD to then eventually transfer type deal?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I will say I think those are
all at the interview.
I think those are fairly valid.
Thing moving forward that I want us to do. All right. if someone just got hired here, right, and then we make them and we train them, we make them an officer, and then they're doing what that one guy did, where they get made an officer, talk all. What was that guy? What was that guy's name?
Ryuji and Pepe.
And now he's trying to
Yeah.
transfer shifts
Look,
too.
when people do that shit, I want them fired. All right?
Well, Pride, it's not going to matter because if their intent was a transfer, they're just gonna hire him after they were fired here.
I'll work something out with Frost where, you know.
Well, just remember that's a two-way street. That is a two-way street.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. You know, I understand what Rhodes is saying stuff. Totally. Exactly. Here's the thing. If we think they are, and especially for new hires and stuff, right? I mean, you know, we should see about them, you know, doing other stuff around the police department. You know, there's towing and being around, ride-alongs and stuff, right? So that way we can assess that they really want to be in this department.
Well, I mean, why don't we hire him as a janitor?
I mean, he does ride-alongs and shift too. I'm not sure what more you want. I mean, I'm looking at the notes that we all took from the interview. He snitched on Bobby Charles. He got positives in all aspects, you know, of the kind of person that we want.
Hey, for what it's worth, I'm not necessarily going to go against, you know, Peach's vibe check, but I will say this: I think there are concessions that can be made. I don't think. I mean, at the end of the day, these are all judgment calls, right? We're bound to mess them up. And if this person does join the police department or the LSPD and ultimately end up swapping, we can make it very clear to them. You know, well, Pred already mentioned that we're likely going to get something in the works with the BCSO regarding stuff like that to avoid it. But I don't see why that individual wouldn't be able to be taken on as someone like maybe not necessarily dispatch, but either janitor stuff. Tow related stuff, hell, even being a receptionist at Mission Row. I don't, maybe a combination of both, and maybe we just put the janitor, you know, job responsibilities under the receptionist. Who knows? Who cares? I unless there was something additional, I probably wouldn't totally DQ someone just on the basis that they work up north right now. That's just my mindset. But again, Peach, I also trust your vibe check. So, you know, it's
guys, listen,
it's rough.
You got to understand something. Us as high command, we're going to have our hands in a lot of pies. I get being close to things like Maxwell's was super close to TRT, right? Ruby, you're obviously super close to PNT, right? And it's not saying that we can't be involved, but these things operate better when we put someone at the helm that needs us in a minimal capacity, where it's like we're only there for when there's big issues. We need things to be running smoothly, confidently. We need to support our people. All right? That's because otherwise it turns into high command runs everything. And essentially we do, right? But if we don't allow other people to run things under us, unless the need arises for us to intervene, like, you know, yeah, we want to be aware of what's going on. We want to be in the know, shit like that. But the key thing is we got to support our people until they give us a reason not to. It's the only way that we'll be able to get the ball rolling. We got too much stuff going on. Ruby, me and you got to sit down and start.
Here.
Oh, here, one second, okay. Ruby, me and you, we got to focus on the detective unit. All right, I'm going to be honest. The detective unit is my main priority because we got to get the right people doing that shit. We got to get the right people that want to fucking work things the way that we want them done.
I don't see no vehicle in
the
area.
That's different than like PNT Peach. I mean, look at Peach. Everybody likes Peach. Peach, tell everybody how much everybody likes you.
Well, you who doesn't like me, Alan Key right now.
Ooh.
What happened? So here, can I get some details here? Me and Rhodes, catch us up in like give us a couple minute catch.
We need a TLDR.
What occurred? Yeah, what occurred? We need to know.
Okay, it all started, you know, we did the second batch of interviews, and stuff, right? And, you know, I asked, you know, I was just reviewing all the names that, that was forwarded to being hired and stuff, right? And, you know, I brought up, you know, Gravy was there, so I brought up, hey, you know, I think Clover, you know, I asked, hey, I still, blame her. She was giving blame her energy. And then the other day, I hear that Ventura, and Jenna was riding with her. I'm concerned, that she should be, that she's a blamer. And then Gravy's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go talk to Alan Key about it. Next thing you know, I get a phone call from Alan Key, and he's just berating me on the phone, right? And it's saying, we're hiring Clover. That's it. Okay, there's nothing to talk about.
It is. Here's the thing. It is a valid concern.
Uh-huh.
All right. All right. It definitely is, because we got to be. Look, part of watching people is the stuff that Peach is doing. All right, I get that it might not sit well with some people, like some people in this room, and Alan. But I mean, I think it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on, and I think we got to allow that type, Peach to operate. Now, now? Let me ask you a question. All right. What did Alan say to you, Peach? What was Key saying? Because he's my superstar in Shift too.
That exactly what I just said and stuff, right? This is the first phone call, by the way.
Like, did he immediately come at you sideways?
Yes.
So he didn't even tell you that, like what he told me, which is that he asked Ventura and Jenna to take her on a ride along because we were all busy at LSPD.
No, he said it was my idea. Okay, He's like, I don't like what you're doing. It was my idea. Okay, I told Ventura and Jenna to take her out, and I said, well, how am I supposed to know that? I just brought my concerns up and everything because I heard that because Ventura called and whatever, and he just like tries to cut me off and just once again saying like, like just cuts me off and says the same spiel, I don't want to hear, etc. And then the call was cut short then, and I'm just like feeling, okay, well, I don't like some way because I'm all like kind of like irritated a little bit because the way he's talking down like that, and I have never once said to Alan, okay, ultimately, I get the final say and everything. I've never once said that to him. I've been trying to guide people.
That's
I know,
that's what I want you to do.
Yeah, but I get that and stuff, right? But like, I just want to try to guide people in the right direction and stuff.
Right.
To the vision, to what we're trying to do in the LSPD. Anyway, so
one day you're going to be in charge, Peach. This is going to be a norm.
Okay, I understand right now you're talking about the issue you have with Alan Key, but is there any chance we could talk about all the things that happened to the respective cadet?
Okay.
The phone call from Brian Knight, the fact that you were in the call with two captains talking about all this, and then going over to her and asking questions. That's the stuff I don't understand.
Okay, well, Ruby, once again, I'm a little irritated and kind of upset that Alan spoke to me that way on the phone. I'm riding with Brian Knight and Haley Maxwell, and I bring up, hey, like Alan spoke to me this way, and I'm concerned about this one cadet because she was giving Blainer energy at the interview, and next thing you know, she's riding Ventura and Jenna, and so on. Okay, and then Alan tells me, he told him to do it and whatever. Anyways, so then Brian goes ahead and makes a phone call to the cadet. Well, not cadet. Interviewing Clover. I just overhear him saying, hey, you want to join the BCSO, and something along the lines like that. Not being aggressive, just like teasing, poaching, whatever on the phone. Very short phone call, and then at the end of it, he's like, oh, okay, well, let's try to meet her in person and so on. But he's like, no, she has like a fake accent, and so on. So then we bump into her at the motor pool, okay, a little bit later, and we're like, oh, hey, we have some questions, right? So, Alan gets in his car, she's against the door, and Brian goes ahead and asks, hey, why do you want to join the LSPD instead of BCSO? And she's like, I've already answered these questions. Okay, at the interview. And I'm like, well, okay, well, just answer the question, I think I maybe said he likes to know. Or Brian said, oh, come on, something like that. And then she's like, no, I've already answered these questions at the interview. Just being really short. And I'm like, well, I'm P&T. And then Alan goes ahead and is like, okay, let's go. And she's like, that's my cue. And then leaves.
So
then,
the potential applicant said that they had already answered the questions that you were asking in the
Yes.
interview and refused to answer?
Yes. And Ryan Haley thought she was really rude. I was kind of like in shock. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, who is this?
This is
Okay. So two captains and a lieutenant just kind of walk over and start asking her questions. Can I please ask, what is Blainer energy? Because once again, if it's just because she has an accent, I'm pretty shitty about this.
okay. I don't know. I think she was I just, from what I remember, she just talked a lot about rocks and stuff in the interview.
Any mention of
so
5G?
Now you're lying. Okay, keep
Well,
going.
she talked about doing a rock drive-by. Okay, now she carries rocks on her.
Oh, that does give Blainer energy.
I don't, it was just the vibes, the energy I felt. Okay, and like you said, this is backed up because I found out Ventura and Jenna was riding, so I shared my concerns with Gravy. Okay,
But
and
then when
by
you're
the way-
just to clarify, when you brought up these concerns, instead of you being just provided context, it was provided with an unnecessary level of sass and being approached sideways. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the thing is, I didn't even approach Alan about this because I just brought it up to Gravy, and he's the one that had to ask Alan and stuff, and so on. And I guess now I found out that this Clover person is a friend of Alan's. Anyway, so then after this happened, right? A few hours later, I call Alan, right? And it's like, oh, how's your ride along? And he's like, yeah, good. And I'm like, okay, well, just so you know, I mean, she was kind of giving me attitude earlier, and it's not very nice. Okay? That's all I said. And then this probably like 3-minute phone call, he's just being so rude and cutting me off multiple times where I can't even say anything. And he's like, I don't want to hear about it. Please stop trying to flip around with what we've got going on. And then, he's like, I don't like what you guys have done. Are you trying to hire a new generation, or are you trying to turn them away and then make people feel uncomfortable? And then in my head, I'm like, uncomfortable. It's like trying to think, wait, what happened? Like, I mean, was it the question that we tried to getting the answer? I mean, if she had to be uncomfortable, she didn't want to answer that question and stuff. So I'm like, so then I try to ask him, well, what, made her uncomfortable and whatever. And he just tries to like cut me off as I'm trying to like get more information. He's like, I'm done talking about this, just over and over. And then I just didn't appreciate the way he just like talked down at me and like that when I'm just trying to figure out what happened, and then he said something like, people, we shouldn't make it like weird. And I'm like, I just wanted to know what happened, like what made uncomfortable, and he just wouldn't really say anything. He was just throwing a lot of like accusations, and just really demeaning to me, and I really didn't appreciate it,
Okay.
And ultimately at the end, he's like, you know what, whatever, and it's like, I'm gonna talk to Kyle Pratt about this, and then hangs up on me.
Okay, so I have a fairly simple question. Taking into account the context that you were provided of the ride along by Key, specifically him being the one that pushed Clover, whoever, to ride with Ventura and Jenna, and also taking into account your follow-up encounters with Clover, where they didn't want to answer the questions, would you want them hired?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
It's not like Peach asked her how much she weighs. She asked her general, HR hiring questions about why do you want to work here. I don't really think that it's that big of a deal, right? Listen, look, there's always going to be disagreements, Ruby has her opinions on stuff. Key's going to have his. Peach is going to. We're all going to have our own personal opinions on things. But what's important here is for us at the end of the day to come together and have these conversations. Now, I might be a former terrorist and a madman that shot his way out of this building twice, but I want you to know I believe in us having a good working relationship. And this doesn't really sound like it's that big of a deal. Like, here's the thing. How is one cadet causing this much
Not even
dismay?
hired, by the way.
It's not the cadet. The cadet's not doing it. It's this is not the cadet. Why would Brian Knight call a cadet? He's in the car with Peach and Haley.
Okay, you know what? I mean,
Ruby,
Brian
what
Knight
happened
is a
to your
BCSO.
I've been kidnapped twice, shot in the face, and left in the sewers. But don't worry. Let's talk about whether Peach is upset with someone and doesn't want to hire someone.
What?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Why? I'm confused. Why is that like the comparison of what we're dealing with when we're speaking with Peach regarding the cadet situation?
I'm just saying, this is obviously much more important.
Ruby, respectfully, you're absolutely not. That's not how we're going to entertain conversations here. We're not going to try to make this hierarchy of conversations based upon the first one being discussed going to be the top priority. No. Ruby, you know better.
I didn't bring up my face. Kyle did.
You're right, but you're making but you're making comments regarding about how this cadet is being prioritized over that.
My issue is that instead of asking and getting to the bottom of why a person that we interviewed was with Ventura, instead what we did is we had Brian Knight intervene, and then we had people running over to her and asking her questions in the motor pool, instead of just asking the questions to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, but why are we jumping to the conclusion that that's being prioritized more than your situation?
Because I was giving energy back to Kyle Pred.
Pred didn't even have involvement in the other situation.
I'm not the one that kidnapped you and put you in the sewers.
Thank goodness.
I would never do that.
I mean, I agree. Thank goodness it wasn't Pred, but like, again, let's address what's in front of us, okay? And not make small digs towards how we're prioritizing things.
Okay, you know what?
Here's my opinion. I'm gonna be blunt about it. If there's a potential applicant who in any way, shape, or form is gonna give me attitude regarding questions that may have been answered during their interview, they're out of the question. I'm not even gonna second guess it. Because if they're gonna do that as someone not hired, what are they gonna do when they are hired? That's an immediate vibe check fail.
Yep.
Oh my God. Speak, my sassy gay assistant chief. Speak.
Now, in saying that, I do think it is different in the Dan situation, because Dan is also doing something that 99.9% of people wouldn't do, which is janitorial duties at the BCSO. And don't get me wrong. Like, do I think that it's fair to assume that there's, there might be an additional connection to the BCSO and he might have more Blainer vibes? Possibly. I wouldn't necessarily say that's entirely a disqualifier. But again, also, I don't want to meddle too much in P&T because I'm a firm belief that the people we put at the helm of P&T need to be, need to have sort of full autonomy with very few exceptions. Very few exceptions.
Agreed.
But here's the thing. I think this is something regarding the original situation of Clover. I think it's Clover, where had Key had provided the context without coming at Peach sideways, this would have been a non-issue to begin with. But again, the whole like sass towards, big boss lady of P&T, that's red flag, just territory. No questions asked.
Sassy with my Peach.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. The way he berated me and stuff. I really don't appreciate. I always try to, approach things in like, kind of like, a funny type of way and stuff, right? and the way Alan spoke to me the other day just really made me, sometimes question, like honestly, even question if I really even want to come around to shift 2. I'm gonna be honest. You know, if the way he spoke to me, I didn't like it at all, and I just don't even know.
We will get that addressed, because that is definitely an area of concern, because ultimately, again, if you're going to be leading PNT, you do need the level of autonomy, and you don't need to be second guessed or questioned. Now, in saying that, if someone like Key wants to vouch for someone, I think there is value in that, but coming at you sideways is not the way to approach that in any way, shape, or form.
I have addressed it with Key. You will be talking with Peach later today.
Perfect. So it sounds like that is being dealt with, because again, ultimately, it sounded like it only needed to be a conversation to elaborate on why Clover was with the BCSO, and that is because it was Key's request to Ventura and Jenna, and that's not that big of a deal. It would have clarified the more sort of Blainer, picture being painted because she didn't have context, but none of that excuses the encounter with them and Peach afterwards, or whenever it was.
I think this is my fault too, as well.
How?
I could tell he was a little like frustrated when I had that conversation with him, and I gave him the option if he wanted to talk to Peach or I could talk to Peach, and he said he'll handle it, and I probably should just handle it myself.
Well, no, I don't think that responsibility falls on you at all. I think if someone specifically has concerns, they're the ones who should be bringing them up to the individuals in question, instead of, there being a game of telephone and then things being misstated or people not having full context.
Well,
so I
mean,
don't think that falls on you.
If that's the case, at any time, Peach could have called Clover instead of Brian.
Can I have some input here from like a non-biased party? So when it was brought to my attention, I told everyone that I would, because full transparency, Oxby was in the same mindset when he heard, right? It does sound bad. The optics are horrendous, right?
Right.
So I told everyone there, like, okay, because she was our best interview, hands down. That was our best interview of the 8 we sent out. And we're only accepting, or want to accept 4. She was our best interview, hands down. So I was like, me, the shift 2 PNT like lead for shift 2. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, okay, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. I had the conversation. I seen she was on the phone, and I could tell that like whatever conversation she was having was already frustrating with Knight by her tone. As she like, I heard her re-explain herself 3 times. Not saying that the attitude is is warranted, but I could also see where she is defensive because she said that she would rather be an LSPD, and she may have felt like there was accusations going toward her. Not saying the attitude you should have toward anyone when they come to ask you for regular HR questions, but I can see the frustrations after getting backed into a corner by a captain of BCSO, and then an LT, a captain, another captain come to reaffirm that, right? I could see where she feels like she's trapped in a corner. Now, I don't think the attitude was warranted. And I think that maybe the friendship between her and Key made her feel comfortable in a way to speak like that. But however, she hasn't, like in Shift 2 when she like talks to us in command, I haven't seen that attitude. I think it got blown out of proportion, and that's just my 2 cents. And I just think people were feeling a type of way that night.
I got you. It's not a big deal. Shit happens. People have disagreements. It's not the end of the world. Look, guys. All right. Important that we make sure we handle these things diplomatically, because you guys got to be aware. Those goddamn Blaners are definitely pissed. Not only did we pick up some of their best people, more of them want to come over here. Libby wants to come over here. Viv wants to come over here. A lot of people don't feel like they fit the mold of what is, and I know that this has those Blaners seething from the way that they handled like Brandy Lynn leaving and shit like that. All right, so these Blaners are gonna be playing dirty fucking tricks with us. All right, they're gonna say, I mean, you guys saw how obsessed they were with Apollo. All right, we get all the first round picks. We get all the first round picks. 1, we have the numbers. 2, we're the hot thing right now when it comes to PED. But we're
And our
gonna stay
PNT
that
is
hot
awesome
thing.
compared to
Exactly,
theirs. Our PNT
exactly.
rocks.
PNT, yeah, V, let me tell you something. You are an all-star. All right. I respect you a lot in what you do. All right. You keep a level head, and that goes far. Now, I just want to make sure E and Peach are going to have to talk. All right. They're both lieutenants. All right. They're going to have to work together. All right. But he has to be reminded that hiring ain't his prerogative. It's Peach's say when it comes to the hiring. All right. He might feel a certain way about that. I get it. All right. But that's how it fucking is. Now, side note, because I need to know now, does anyone in this room want the noms for Marshall? All right, I
Nope.
got to put 2 names. I got to put 2 names forward. I won't be offended if you want it because at the end of the day, I'm not like the BCSO. I want to see you thrive. And plus, having someone that I trust over there would be big for me because when I get shit canned by the mayor in a couple weeks, I need a fallback plan.
Well, I plan
All
on ECRing the current marshal head marshal.
W.
So
Do
you can put my name down.
do you want the nom?
I'll take the nom.
That's the thing. You want the nom?
I'll take the nom.
All right, I'll give you the nom. All right, we need to get one more nominated. Ruby, is that something that you want to do as well? Because I want you to stay here, but I also want you to be
No.
happy.
I need to be here.
You do need
This
to be
this
here.
is me.
This, yeah, this is. Sorry,
This
I was
is
just looking at.
me.
I was just looking at your face. I'm sorry.
Don't
Look,
look-
I just
don't
I
look
want to
at my
make
face.
Brian
You're
Knight
such a
sweat.
beaut.
I don't want him to think he has in the bag, so I want to make him sweat.
Mm.
All right, it's important that we find. So here's what I want you guys to do later today. Ruby, I would like for Rhodes or Ruby, whichever one of you wants to do it. I want you guys to find our second nom. All right.
Question: What happens if you nominate someone who is already nominated? There's no additional benefit, correct? Because they just end up ultimately on the same page.
It just strikes
Yeah.
it just strikes another name off the ballot.
Yeah.
And it looks better, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
kinda.
be honest. I spoke with Brian last night. I said, "Is this something that you want?" The same questions that I asked Gravy. And he said, yes. He said, although if he doesn't get it, he's fine where he is. So I think both
You guys wanna
Gravy and
support
Brian
Brian?
have the same mindset. From what I have gathered.
Yeah, I love being here and I want to be here. But there's we are lacking from what the marshals could be.
Are you
fine,
aware? I definitely. So the only reason I bring this up is because I don't want there to be unrealistic expectations. Are you aware of the logistical nightmare that is the marshals?
I am.
Okay. All right. And are you aware that you're likely not going to be able to change any of those things because every person who's been in charge has attempted to change those things?
I can
Me
try.
and Rhodes could change them, but Rhodes, damn it, they need us here. Fuck it.
But
Maybe I
that's-
should
that's
put
my
forth
mindset
my
is
name.
like-
I'll be the second. I'll be the leader of the marshals and the LSPD.
If I have your guys' backing and have a open, clear communication and your help of and suggestions, which I hope that we could try something. From what I understand, the PD and marshals have never worked well together whatsoever, and that's something I want to change.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
Did the DOJ
investigating
misspell your
all those
name?
Cops.
Probably. It's an A. It's not the British spelling.
Ooh.
So here's the thing: BCSO were allowed to nominate 2, and they decided to only nominate 1.
Oh, that sounds. I think that's going to ruffle some feathers over there. Wouldn't you guys agree? I mean,
Not really. If
No.
because
I
if
heard
they
McClellan
ultimately
had an
feel
interview and they didn't nominate him, so I'd kind of be upset if I were him. Just saying.
well, McQuillan did approach me and ask if it's something like it sounds like it's something he wants to do. So if he does, I'm not opposed for for our second option being him.
we should prioritize our own people, and then if no
Yeah,
one
but
else wants
Pred,
it,
Pred,
then we'll
find one
support
find
Knight.
one other person. We don't even have to put Gray's name up. That's the thing.
Look,
it's already
hold
there.
on. Well, hold on. Wait, we still have to nominate him. I think we still. Well,
Yes.
I think it'd be
the only
good for
ones that
office.
make it to the ballot, we all have to nominate. All right, so we'll put Gray will be one name. All right, but here's one thing we got to think politically. All right, the political landscape that we are in here in Los Santos. All right, Brian Knight is a fucker. He is one of my best friends, but I know what a fucking asshole Brian Knight is. All right, more than anyone. I went against him on Sanguine. All right, I definitely think he's one of the few people that can achieve it, which is, helping the marshals out. All right, I think he can because I saw what he did with the DPD. Ruby, you were a part of that. All right.
Yeah.
I think that not only would that bode well with the current sheriff, but it would bode well for us with the marshals going forward, nominating him as well. So the political move here for us to be in good graces, me. So here's the thing. I'm looking at this from a selfish perspective. Admittedly, I'm a selfish man. I always like to have a backup plan because me and Rhodes I could very well be on my ass in a few weeks' time, depending on someone could get elected mayor, say, hey, all that shit I told you, Kyle? Fuck you. Have fun out on the street, you rich bastard. Have fun living in your mansion, as well as your yacht parties with all those models that are like, between the ages of 25 and 35, because I'm not like Leonardo DiCaprio, we gotta think of the optics of a lot of things too. But then we also got to think about what people on the street are going to say. We support Brian. I don't think they would really care. Mainly, I don't think the people of the city care too much about much. So, do you guys understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Where the decision is political, but I will also support one of our other people if they want to go. All right?
I haven't heard from anybody except Gray that they are interested and want to make a difference.
Maybe I should run and make Brian sweat.
Fred, no.
Talk about optics.
Because
oh my God.
Much like me, falling upwards, okay? I'll say this in front of everyone, and I've told you straight to your face. You always get positions that you don't deserve, okay? And I feel like you would also get that. Now, to be clear, just because you don't deserve a position doesn't mean you wouldn't be phenomenal at leading said position. But I don't want the possibility of you not being in the LSPD.
Hey, listen, I'm here to stay. I'm kind of just fucking around. I'm not putting my name.
So what are we doing? Are we doing Brian and Gray?
We got to feel our people out.
Fred, the reality is this is due tomorrow, and if no one has expressed interest already,
midnight, yeah.
Like I think it's
midnight tonight.
I think anyone who approaches now is not serious.
All right,
about it.
All right, so how about that's what we do then? All right, are we all in agreement? Put forth Gray, put forth Knight.
Yeah,
we'll just do that.
I'm down.
That's fine.
All right. And if any of our people have an issue with it, we'll explain why we did it. We'll also explain to them, hey, you never came to us even once. You know what I mean? So what am I supposed to be, a fucking mind reader? Right?
I mean, it's not like Gunner came to us to get our nomination.
He did.
No, he went to
Gunner did come to me to get his nomination.
Oh.
Isn't it sad that he only has DOC, but the reason why he's about to get ACR is because he's taking DOC out on APC and deep water explorations?
Yeah, is that real? Wait,
Yep.
is that...
Yep, I have the
I
proof.
heard he was out on an
cam.
APC with
Yep.
some lady.
Yep, some lady,
Yes.
not even in uniform, but clocked in duty. So
is he on a hot APC date?
he might have been.
Yeah.
He's using that APC to get ASS.
Whoa, whoa,
Damn.
whoa.
That son of a bitch. All right, so let's move back to the P&T stuff. I just wanted to make sure we get that shit sorted.
Yeah,
All right,
need
the
to
P&T stuff doesn't seem like it's really that big of a deal, guys, if I'm being honest. All right, Ruby, I would appreciate if you didn't call Peach out in front of everybody publicly next time, but I also get it because, hey, I would do the same thing. I would be a hypocrite if I told you not to do it again.
It's
Do
true.
it again if you want. All right?
Peach can handle it. I wouldn't have done it if Peach couldn't handle it.
Yeah. I mean, if she didn't do it, we wouldn't be in here right now.
All right,
Can I just confirm you don't? So Peach, you're saying no to Clover. Is that correct?
Okay, but I'm open to hear what Alan has to say and stuff. You know, no, I mean, I still want to hear like all the sides and stuff, right? And Oxford, you mentioned you spoke to him and stuff.
Yeah, and
What a
the stuff-
diplomat! If Regina George was a diplomat, she'd be peachy.
let me say that I told Key that exact phrase actually is that you need to be diplomatic and understand as much as you have personal feelings, you have to work with people in the department, people you're not going to see eye to eye with. You cannot come at someone the way that you did. I understand why he was defensive, but that does not excuse the behavior. I told him he needs to apologize for how he talked about it, and he agreed. So he is going to talk to you about that. And as I said, I still have the perception that I think everybody got defensive. I think it was some stirring gone wrong. I know that, people were having a fun Friday, and I think that's where it came from because I heard Haley's comms about an hour later, and she was having a great time. So I'm
that
pretty
fucking
sure
alcoholic.
I think that's what it was, and I think we're blowing it out of proportion. I think people got a little defensive on a Friday, which happens. I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest.
I mean, hey, listen, it's better to be defensive than start fucking on the Chiefs' couch on a Friday, right?
Oh,
Scotty Bard?
No
Who the
one-
fuck would do that?
Scotty Bard's around.
Scotty Bard?
Guys,
it was a really good comp.
He
I
was.
have
I'd
I
hire
have
him
a
to
name
shit
for
too, but-
tomorrow.
Yeah, get Scotty.
I have a
in
name
there.
for DOC tomorrow.
DLC
we-
Scotty?
Honest, can I be honest? Scotty Bard's too
Bobby
good
Charles.
for that prison.
No.
He
Well, he
was?
was a cop, but then
No,
he
no, no,
like
no, no.
life came up and he had to resign, and I would
did
like
really
to hire
well.
him back.
Yeah.
No.
I love them.
Okay. No, we hire Scotty back into the LSPD, and then we give Bobby Charles to the DLC.
Great
It's a
trade.
good trade.
Great
Okay,
trade.
I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh.
When the the DOC stuff was being mentioned by DOJ at the meeting, my immediate thought was, holy fuck, we could send Carmine off. And then I thought to myself, maybe Bobby instead.
Listen, I like Yui, but she kind of lets Gunner walk all over her.
He's never around.
Bobby wouldn't let anyone walk all over him but me, so he's the perfect pick.
Yeah, you're probably going to be like, "Hey, bitch boy, Bobby, I need you to do this." And
There's
like,
no
"Yeah,
way
yeah,
he
yes,
would
sir,
accept
yes,
it.
sir.
There's no way he would accept
You would
it.
say it just like that. Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, you do a Bobby impression way too fucking well. That's kind of concerning.
Because I fucking hear it all the time. I
Yeah,
hear him gargling on Chief's balls.
Ooh.
Listen, look,
Ooh.
I'm gonna tell you guys right here. Bobby's one of my lackeys. He always has been. He's always been a pred lackey.
All right. I think for the most part we have. Wait, did we conclude everything?
Well, I still need to talk, and I don't care if it's in front of everyone or if each wants to do it separately. There's still 4 like outstanding like people that out of the 8 we interviewed that I would like to accept and have passed the vibe check. So I'm just waiting for that because I'd like to get them onboarded Monday and have people onboard them while we do the job fair.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that, but I have to get the background checks done and stuff. I mean, I gotta wait for that.
I think
Yeah,
getting
the
a
background
larger
check's
set
a little
of-
different now.
Yeah, and getting a larger pool then to get those background checks running is probably correct. Then if it's going to take a little
Yeah, I'm
bit,
sure.
then getting the next set ready after that is probably not a bad idea.
I'm sure Rhodes and Ruby can back me up on the background checks. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
things are going to take like a little, you got to give it like a day or two.
I mean,
Yeah,
listen.
but then
I
I'm just
think
confused. Then why are we doing a job fair on Monday?
Well, it's good to gauge. It's good to gauge people, and then we're not promising people a job. We're
Right.
saying, hey, we're hiring, and it gives people the ability to showcase, right? And then we go from there.
Listen,
We
I
did
think a
that
prime
properly,
example of the issue at hand is someone like Jackie Snow, who historically in the past has always been a police officer, except now he has Hydra affiliations, and there's that big court case with him. In fact, Jackie Snow shot me. All right,
What?
like not recently, but when he went to jail, the vehicle got disabled, and he had turned to me, not realizing it was me, because he had called me earlier in the day to warn me, hey, you're pursuing this car, I would back off. And not in a threatening way, but it doesn't matter. Pursuit happened, he got out of the car, he was the one to shoot me first. Point being, even if we do have people from the past, there is no guarantee as to their mindset. I mean, hell, look at Jenny Hall, someone who never in a million years did I think would end up, being on the other side, but here we are.
She was always on the terrorist side with me.
So again,
Right,
background checks. I can't imagine it would take very long for, you know, for those to be processed. But just so we have a general idea and aren't promising individuals, you know, anything prior to that happening.
All right. So would you like me to tell the 4 that we have accepted to hold off on onboarding?
Hand those names off to Peach, and Peach will sort of move them forward.
He knows.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Oh, Scotty's
And if there hasn't yet been a response